What's up, everybody, man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Godzilla Kong Supernova news and updates. Today we're going in depth. Where are Godzilla and Kong heading in Supernova? We'll go through all the confirmed filming locations for Godzilla Kong Supernova, as well as the locations that they are in the film, because they don't always line up. Actually, quite a few times they don't line up. So these are the locations under fire in Godzilla Kong Supernova. These are the locations of our next Titan events. We also got what is my favorite bit of Godzilla news I've covered in a very, very long time. I could not believe it's real, so it blew my mind. I can't wait to get into it with you guys. And a whole bunch more. Let's get into it. I'm going to start out with some artwork like always. This first piece comes to us from Gigan 102489-6. This is their Mechagodzilla Bloody Victory. I freaking love it, man. God, Mechagodzilla looks so cool here. I love the gore. It's really neat. That really cool cross section on the eye, that like light beaming out the eye, looks fantastic. Mechagodzilla 2021 looks so awesome here. I really love this art style. I really wanted to show this one off. Is he killing the Skullcrawler, or is he finally succeeding in destroying Godzilla? Does it matter? He looks awesome either way. Recently, I don't know if you've been up to date, but I've done a really big breakdown on the channel of a lawsuit that happened that seems to have outright blocked Methuselah from the MonsterVerse. If you're not up to date, please go check that video out. I put tons of work into breaking down a lawsuit with a smaller company called Kaiju that seems to have straight up blocked Methuselah from the MonsterVerse. And while we're unsure what Methuselah's fate is going to wind up being and if Methuselah can be redesigned, many fans have taken to redesign Methuselah. I don't technically think this one was part of that wave of fans redesigning Methuselah. Please, if you have any Methuselah redesigns, please send them to me over on Twitter. D-Man1954 Godzilla. Send me your Methuselah redesigns and I'll show them off in a future video. But this one comes to us from Jared Modena. Jared Modena Designs is an artist who I've shown off many times on the channel, but man, I really like this one because it looks different enough from the Methuselah from the film to where I think we could get away with this. I think that if they were to redesign Methuselah into something like this, we could get away with using him in the movie. This looks so different from the Batholith Kaiju that supposedly Methuselah ripped off. If you've got no brain and you want to go that route, I really like the hands on this one. I actually like the hands on this Methuselah much more than I like the hands on the real design. The face looks awesome as well. I love the amplified tusks of Methuselah. We might need to redesign Methuselah entirely to get him back into the MonsterVerse, and this design still harkens back to Methuselah from the film. It's got the really cool shoulder spikes, you know, he's got kind of that Anguirus head crown, but it looks different enough to where I think we could get away with it. I also really like the tail on this guy. I think Methuselah needs a tail, and I think that this tail looks really good on him. So I really wanted to show this one off, and I wanted to gauge what you guys thought of it. What would you think if this was the Methuselah redesign in the MonsterVerse? Again, given the premise that we might have to redesign him in order to get him back in a film, I would be way more excited about this than I would be about never seeing Methuselah again. This is a really cool redesign regardless of the fact that it's redesigned. It just really is neat. One of the leading figures of Godzilla news on Twitter as of late is Mr. Goji. Mr. Goji's done a wonderful job keeping up to date with the Godzilla Kong Supernova news, and I wanted to show this poster off that Mr. Goji made that I thought was really cool. It was a lot of fun of Godzilla Kong Supernova with Godzilla and Kong charging into action. It's a very aesthetic poster. It looks really cool. I love the burning city. I love the cars randomly rocketing through the sky down there. Like, what's going on? You've got the moon, it looks like, up above, but the moon turns into the cosmos. Like, this is a really well-made fan poster. I really like it. Big shout out, Mr. Goji. You killed it with this fan poster. I think that this turned out really well. Obidi VRC spotted this Godzilla truck out there in the wild. This is a pickup truck with a Godzilla wrap on it. Looks very cool. Obviously, it's very pink, inspired by New Empire. You can decapitate him by rolling down the window. And if you actually look at the back of the truck, it looks like it's got both Godzilla and Mothra. Like, Mothra's on there too, so it looks like it's probably got some of the other kaiju on there as well, which is really neat. I think it's very funny that it's right next to a Wendy's, considering that truck very well, if you looked at it at a first glance and didn't notice that was Godzilla, could very well be a Wendy's truck. This is straight up, this has got to be my favorite news I've covered in years on this channel. It felt like we were all dangled a false hope in front of us. Way back in 2019, Xbox did a giveaway with Godzilla King of the Monsters where they gave away Godzilla Xboxes. There was a Godzilla one which looks pretty cool, a Ghidorah one, a Mothra one which I don't think looks very good at all. It looks like Mothra got absolutely phased through there, like she's no clipping through the Xbox at the moment. And the Rodan one, which I actually think looks pretty freaking sick. And you know what? I never heard an update about these. Now there's rumors that somehow, some way, Tom Middleditch, who plays Sam Coleman in the MonsterVerse, maybe wound up with the Godzilla one, but I've never found verification of that. As far as I was concerned, these things never actually existed and they weren't made. Well, guess what? I tweeted about them not too long ago, and it was like a prayer from heaven being answered. Proof that they exist has finally surfaced. Proof that has been online since July 23rd, 2019. The Evil Ghost won the Rodan Xbox, posting this saying, "So I won the Godzilla King of the Monsters Xbox One X, and I know a little fork that is going to love his birthday present." Holy cannoli, man. There it is. A brand new look at the Rodan Xbox, and it actually looks way better than I would have thought it would have looked. It's got so much more texture than I would have thought. It actually looks pretty good. It's still kind of goofy to me that it's like the top of Rodan's head phased into the Xbox, but I just don't know what else you would do, you know? Like, I don't know what else you do with it. Love the King of the Monsters logo on the side. The paint job looks fantastic. The whole thing looks really freaking cool. I'm just really amazed that it exists. I love this. I would freaking kill to get one of these things. I think it's so cool. Wanted to show that off. I couldn't believe it existed. Thank you to everybody who sent me this. This is amazing. SH Monster Arts revealed their upcoming Godzilla Movie Graphic Plus Nighttime Battle Colors re-release for Godzilla 2014. The Godzilla 2014 SHMA really hasn't been on sale since I think 2015 was the last time it was sold. There was a couple different variations made back in the day, but there's a new Movie Graphic Plus Godzilla SH Monster Arts series coming out, which features posters for the movies that the Monster Arts figures are associated with, as well as the Monster Arts figures themselves. This is a really fantastic opportunity for everybody who missed out on the SHMA Godzilla 2014 back in the day. Like, I missed out on it. I think overall it looks really cool. I love the richness and the depth of the sculpt. Overall, I think it looks fantastic. I think the silhouette is absolutely perfect. I love the spines. I love the texturing in. The face looks really cool in my opinion. However, it's not movie accurate, which I saw a lot of people really complaining about, like 2025 and we're still using the 2014 SHMA sculpt. That's diabolical. Do you have brain cells? The whole point of this line is that they're re-releasing figures that have been off the market for a while, but they're re-releasing them so that people who missed them can get their chance to get them. And the little movie poster is just what differentiates it. Now, I don't know why they went with the nighttime battle version colors. I think that's just a more muted color palette, like less browns on the chest, for instance, for Godzilla. I'm perfectly okay with it being the same exact sculpt as the 2014 sculpt. I think it actually looks really good. I love the textures and the muscle on it, especially look at the legs there. The legs look really textured. That looks really good. I get that the face isn't movie accurate, and I get that people have complained about it in the past, but updating the sculpt, while that would be cool, it would be a brand new figure, right? You'd update the sculpt and it would be a brand new release of the 2014 Godzilla, whereas this is a re-release of a figure that was out of print, you know? That's the purpose of the line, is to re-release figures that have been out of print. At San Diego Comic-Con, Legendary Comics held a MonsterVerse panel. This panel had upcoming details for the MonsterVerse, Godzilla Kong, Dune, Pacific Rim, and more, but obviously on this channel, we're really only interested in the Godzilla Kong stuff. I've heard the panel was pretty good, but didn't have many big reveals. They talked about MonsterVerse Declassified, Monarch, The Lost Adventures, but they didn't really tease anything or announce anything new or upcoming, you know? I've got an article breaking it down below. I did go into much more detail about this in the last Godzilla Kong Supernova news and updates, where I talked about Godzilla and Kong heading to the Grand Canyon. Maybe literally Godzilla and Kong, but the movie Godzilla Kong Supernova is heading to the Grand Canyon. Like, there's a sequence that is going to take place at the Grand Canyon, and in that video I speculate about what I think the best monster to feature in the Grand Canyon would be, and I stand by. He would be the absolute best monster to feature in the Grand Canyon, so go check that other video out. But for now, there was an article written breaking breaking down some of the details from there, so I'll go through it a little bit. It was announcing that Godzilla Kong Supernova is going to boost the Moab economy by a lot. Millions of dollars are being brought in by the production of Godzilla Kong Supernova. This was actually broken down in a report on July 16th, 2025 by the Grand County Commission. It was in a big meeting with them. Here you can see the actual commission themselves. And they talked about the impact that Zeus, the production Zeus, is having in the area. Of course, Zeus is the working title for Godzilla Kong Supernova. They stated that the film will have one of the biggest productions set in the region. Filming will happen on Main Street and Fossil Point in Moab. Filming on Main Street will happen on July 30th from 5 a.m. to noon. And the filming will employ 150 crew and 70 local extras. And they put a big emphasis on the locals, which is why I didn't get to work on it. I didn't get to work on it because they were only hiring locals, so I wasn't eligible. I want to work on this movie, dang it. How cool would that be? Once again, I touched on this in the last video, but Leanne Emmett, the supervising location manager on Godzilla Kong Supernova, revealed the filming locations for the movie are Mexico City, Mumbai, and London, as well as confirming the fact that the Utah filming is standing in for the Grand Canyon, as they were originally going to shoot the scene at the Grand Canyon on location in the real location, but they found that Utah's Moab was so beautiful, probably also cheaper, that's probably another reason, was it was probably cheaper, that they wanted to shoot there in Moab, and also they fell in love with Moab City, and they featured Moab City in the film also. A thing I wanted to mention that I didn't really get into in the last video is we know there's going to be some filming on a river. Like some of the filming in Utah is going to take place on a river. Well, if you look at the real Grand Canyon, a big river runs right through it. Like a huge river runs through the bottom of the Grand Canyon. So I think that river sequence is still going to be set in the Grand Canyon. I think we're literally in the Grand Canyon, in the lower part of it. I don't know what they're doing down there. Again, kind of giving me Mount Aso vibes, but I don't know. They're clearly going to be going down the river or on the river at some point, or maybe even just near it. But we actually have some photos in an upcoming video I'll talk about with Caitlin Dever where she's in the river. You know, she's literally in the river. So we'll talk about that when we get there. I also mentioned in my other video that I thought some of the filming in Mumbai might just be like a throwaway sequence like Godzilla's fight with Scylla in Rome. I actually got some comments that said they don't think so. A couple of you guys reached out over comments to say that filming in Mumbai lasted longer than expected, which means it might be a bigger sequence than I was anticipating. I think people said the same thing about Mexico City, that Mexico City was featured more than I was anticipating. And then we also know a lot of the movie will take place in London. Of course, a lot of the filming in Queensland, Australia transformed the city into London, so it does seem like that's where our final battle is going to happen. I would expect London Bridge to be featured and knocked down. Godzilla movies used to do a very good job at featuring like iconic landmarks and tourist locations and knocking them down, which actually in some ways was meant to boost tourism back in the early era of Godzilla. The MonsterVerse does not put as much emphasis on that as it used to, like Godzilla King of the Monsters and 2014 put a lot of emphasis on that. Godzilla vs. Kong didn't really, although they did feature Hong Kong heavily. They didn't feature any of the iconic landmarks heavily. New Empire actually, I think, put the most emphasis on Egypt and the pyramids rather than Rio itself, mostly because Rio was swapped out last minute, as Rio was supposed to be somewhere in Russia, similar to Godzilla vs. Kong, where Hong Kong was supposed to be Shanghai. But the London thing seems very set in stone. I would also expect Big Ben to get knocked down. Mr. Goji's been teasing quite a bit that he thinks Space Godzilla is going to blow up Big Ben like the comic book panel would suggest, so possible that they follow that route if Space Godzilla is the villain. The real Dylan Johnson is another person on Twitter who you can go check out who has done extensive coverage of the filming for Supernova, done a very, very good job covering this stuff and has been very helpful in my research. Here he breaks down some of the filming locations. So we know Utah, possibly for Sedona, Arizona, stand-in for Sedona, Arizona, which will play a part in Godzilla Kong Supernova, as of course the teaser for Supernova places big emphasis on Sedona, Arizona having some sort of Titan event. That's also where Scylla awakened in the first place. We also know Utah's standing in for the Grand Canyon itself, London, which seems to be London itself, Mexico City and Mumbai we don't know much about, and then the Hollow Earth for Kong sequences most likely. I'm actually going to end it here. This is actually going to be part of a much longer, much more fun news and updates. There's so much that I cannot wait to get into with you guys. We got tons and tons of set photos and filming details for Supernova. We have a lot revealed, and we also maybe know the villain of the movie now. It seems the villain might have accidentally been spoiled while filming Supernova. So we've got all that and more in the next one, although unfortunately I have to cut this video in half. It was all supposed to be part of one video, but I do have a bit of an emergency that I have to go attend to. So I've got to make this one a lot quicker than I intended. Sorry guys, I will see you for the next one. That just means you got to subscribe. As always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. It is through the support of the patrons on Patreon that I'm able to continue to make videos like this for you. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. If that's not your thing, please consider joining as a channel member. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all next time for the next one. D-Man out. Bro's absolutely aura farming and I love it. I'm cutting that. He looks really cool.